by a show of hands, how many people have ever been on a bad first date? As I expected, most of you. Is anyone brave enough to share a story from that bad first date? I saw your hand shoot up, Hannah.
I once went on a first date with an attractive but very arrogant dentist, and he spent the whole time talking about himself and not really asking any questions.
Yikes. No level of attraction will make that worth it.
No.
Luckily for you and the rest of the class, we're here today to talk to you about how to make a great first impression on a date and give you 5 kind of key tips and categories that we think will help. And if you want, put us in contact with that dentist and we'll sit down with them. Now, Andrea, I know what you're thinking. You're engaged. And Bert, you're married. This doesn't apply to you. But we think that it does, because throughout your life, you're going to be making first impressions with everyone that you meet.
So the first tip that we're going to talk about is eye contact. Eye contact is kind of like your superpower. You use it well and it can have magical effects, but use it poorly and it can be an absolute disaster. Showing eye contact shows your date that you have confidence, you have warmth, and that you're actually listening to what they're saying. In fact, studies show that if you don't show eye contact, your date probably thinks that you're hiding something. But it's important to note that showing too much eye contact can actually freak your date out. You don't want to just stare them down. Let's take Andrew and Barbara. They're on their first date. Let's check in and see how it's going.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
How's it going? I'm Andrew.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, can't complain. Been a pretty decent day, you know, getting by.
So I'm just going to stop this right there. Clearly that's not going well. Research shows that the right amount of eye contact is about 7 to 10 seconds, meaning that you show eye contact with your date for about 7 to 10 seconds and then you break the gaze, you look down or you look out the window before re-engaging with eye contact. Let's try that again.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
Hey, I'm Andrew. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to have this dinner, drink this Pinot. It's looking delicious.
Italian's my favorite.
Absolutely.
That was much better and much more natural.
36% of people say that their greatest anxiety on a first date is awkward silence. So, how can we create conversation that will prevent that awkward silence? The first thing you want to do is you want to ask interesting yet risky questions. Avoid questions like, where'd you go to school? Where do you work? And instead, just like touchy-feely, push yourself to be in that 15% risk zone, but don't go further than that. So instead of those questions, why don't you try some questions like these?
Barbara, what makes you unique?
I'm a space nerd, but I still love pop culture. Andrew, what are you really good at but embarrassed to admit?
I like to think I'm great at singing Mariah Carey in the shower.
These types of questions build a deeper level of personal intimacy and connection. My next tip is to shoot for about 50% airtime. Don't speak more than that, and don't speak less than that. My only caveat to that would be, if you tend to find yourself being overly shy or talk a lot, maybe adjust that percentage higher or lower, respectively. And then finally, one of the leading contributors to a failed date is rehearsed lines and jokes. These don't work well. Andrew, why don't you tell a joke to Barbara?
Hey, Barbara, where did the cows go on their first date?
I don't know. Where'd they go?
To the movies.
That date is over. Now, the corollary to conversation is active listening. And when the other person is speaking, make sure you are being an active listener. And I'll give you 4 tips for that. The first is maintain eye contact. Nod your head when the other person is speaking. Have a warm, open body posture that's facing them. And then last, ask interesting questions to show that you're actually paying attention to what they're saying.
The most important thing you can do with your body on a first date is smile. Smiling is actually an extremely effective way to make a good first impression. And there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, smiling is contagious. When you smile at people, they want to smile back. And secondly, when you smile, you create a bit of a halo effect for yourself. Someone sees you smiling and they start to associate you with more positive qualities and see you in a better lens. But it's critical that you don't fake your smile. Just showing your teeth as much as possible really does not count as a smile. So Ben, let's see those pearly whites. Not too good, right? Kaitlin, show us a real smile. Much, much better. The bottom line is, smile frequently and smile authentically, but don't fake it because it's easy to tell and you're faking it. Moving past your smile though, you can really use the rest of your body to convey comfort, engagement, and excitement. Research shows there's a few things you can do with your body to really accentuate your partner's opinion of you. Keep your arms uncrossed and loose. Try to get closer to your partner, although not too close, we don't want anything unseemly on stage. And then physically lean in to show your engagement in the conversation. And finally, take measured and subdued motions. You don't want to be a statue, but you also don't want to be the person waving their arms around too much, acting overly eager or nervous or excited. Now, on the other hand, there's also some research that may indicate there are some actions you don't want to take with your body. One of which is you don't want to, if you're someone who, rubs the back of your neck or touches your hair a bunch or touches your face, you look uncomfortable and a little bit unconfident as well. You don't want to look overly aloof and sit back from the conversation and appear disengaged, but you also, especially for men, may not want to come off as too macho with your body, with your chest all puffed out. And then finally, this seems like a bit of a subtlety, but we don't recommend pointing your feet and your body towards the nearest exit because it literally looks like you're bracing yourself to leave the situation as soon as possible. Now, supplementing your body, your voice is also a very critical aspect of making a good first impression. Your voice tends to mimic how you're feeling and how your internal state, you should say. Earlier this quarter, JD showed us some research that indicated about 90% of your communicational impact on someone comes from your visual and your vocal aspects. In other words, if you're not showing it and you're not saying it the right way, it's not going to land well. So let's check in on Ben and Kaitlin again and see how this date's going.
Kaitlin, I'm having such a great time tonight.
Me too?
It's not very convincing, right? By not using more variation in his tone, more variation in his pitch, Ben does not seem very convincing. Research has actually shown that you can hear a smile through the phone, so there's no way Kaitlin will be convinced in this case, and it's critical that Ben make another attempt, and this time really put his voice into it.
Kaitlin, I'm having a really great time tonight.
Thanks, Ben. Me too.
Now the next thing you want to do is to subtly mimic your date. I know what some of you are thinking. I was a kid, my sibling would mimic me, and it was incredibly annoying. Please don't do that on your first date. Subtlety is the key here. What you don't want to do is mimic all of the crazy, obscure gestures that your date might do. And you especially don't want to exactly repeat all of their sentences.
Isn't the GSB the most amazing place ever?
Yeah, the GSB is the most amazing place ever.
Clearly, it doesn't sound like they're engaging, and they don't have anything new to say. But what you can do, if you subtly mimic your date, is actually increase empathy, likability, and your attractiveness to your date. Studies show that just by subtly mimicking their movements and their voice, they will actually become more attractive to you. Probably one of the easiest ways to do this. So the first thing you can do is to mirror some of their small gestures with about a 1 to 2 second delay. This will show that you're engaged just like they are. The next thing you can do is to repeat some of the key phrases that they use. This shows that you're both listening, but also can add something to the conversation.
Isn't the GSB the most amazing place ever?
I had such an incredible time at the GSB, particularly taking 315.
And finally, you want to mimic the formality of your date. So if your date is being very formal in the way they speak and the way they dress, you probably want to meet them at or near their level. But if they're very laid back, they're casual, you probably don't want to be speaking like the queen. So again, try to meet them at their level, and everyone will feel more comfortable. Now, once your date is over, it's really important to have clear follow-up. If you had a good time, tell your date and make clear plans to see them again. Studies show that people really appreciate assertiveness and clarity. So let's see how a good date would end.
Hey, I had a great time tonight.
Me too. Let's do it again soon.
Perfect. How about next Tuesday? 8 p.m. at the patio?
Sounds great. See you then.
Just as important, if you didn't have a good first time, or a good time on your first date, or for some reason you don't want to see the person again, it's equally as important to tell them. That way, there's no uncertainty. So let's see how that would go.
Hey, I had a great time tonight.
Hey, Ben. It was great getting to know you, but I just didn't feel a spark between us. Good luck out there. I know you'll find someone amazing.
Hi, Kaitlin. I'm bummed to hear that, but thanks for being upfront with me. Hope you find what you're looking for.
So we hope you've enjoyed hearing these 5 tips for how to ace your first date and make a really great first impression. And now we'd love to take any questions you guys have.